everyone can get shredded, but not everyone can get big. What do I mean when I say this? Well, it's this. You are more genetically limited when it comes to muscle size as opposed to muscle definition. Obtaining muscle definition is basically just like a simple multi-step task. Number one, you have to have low body fat, obviously. And then number two, all you need is some level of musculature. That's pretty much about it. Now, how much are you going to weigh in order to obtain that specific look? That is up for debate. However, you pretty much have to just keep trimming down and trimming down if you want to get to a certain desired body fat. I'm not going to sit here and say everyone can get six-pack abs, but everyone can in fact get abdominal definition if they trim down low enough to low enough body fat. I know this topic is very controversial, but I'm not necessarily saying that being shredded is superior. I don't really subscribe to that. I think being somewhere in the middle is superior, but I think for certain people it is superior to go for more of a shredded look. I think for people who are ectomorphs, especially someone like me who struggles to eat enough food just because of my metabolism and all these digestive health conditions that I have, for me, it's more of a benefit to me. But for someone else, they probably would be a bit healthier at a heavier weight. Now, I'm not saying people have got to be morbidly obese on this side point, but what I'm saying is just to make this point so that people don't take what I'm saying out of context. So anyways, being shredded is possible for everybody. You're not necessarily going to look a certain way being shredded, but like I was just mentioning about abdominal definition, pretty much everyone can get at least a 4-pack. The 6-pack normally comes down to two things, which is having actual 6 individual insertions in your body musculature wise, but also number 2 is having the genetics get down to that body fat percentage, because some people, they will always store some form of body fat in their abdominals. I would actually maybe consider myself that kind of person, because while I can't necessarily say that I have obtained a legitimate actual 6-pack, I would say I've obtained more of a 5-pack. When I get as lean as possible, I pretty much have the 2 top ones, or the 2 rows rather, and then I kind of have a faint little line of some sort at the bottom. That's kind of my maximum shredded state, if you want to call it that. However, here is why, though, I say that it's harder to get big. Because muscle size is extremely genetically influenced. You not only have to have the body type, which is pretty much a mesomorph, but you also have to have other things in place, which is having the opportunity to be able to build that muscle in the first place, which is going to take a lot of time, effort, and resources. Someone might be born in a mesomorph, but if they're born into say a poor predicament, right, they're only gonna get so high on that muscle building level. And you may see this a lot just out in public, right? You probably have friends and families who are like this too. I mean, not to call out a certain race of people, but y'all kind of probably would guesstimate there's a certain race out there who, regardless of socioeconomic status, they seem to always be, in tip-top physical shape. That's a prime example of that. But it doesn't really matter for the most part. There are people of every race who have different kinds of genetics. It's just that some races tend to have that more than others. So my main point here, though, is that being shredded is, in my opinion, it's a lot easier. I know that that goes against, common, cultural trends. It goes against the common fitness standard, which is that being shredded is this insanely difficult thing to get to and to maintain. It's really not. The fitness industry is just biased, right? Why? Because people want to sell supplements and make people gain as much weight as possible. About big, 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 big. But sometimes, here's the thing, sometimes less is more. And until the fitness industry realizes this, a lot of people are going to be under the spell of a bunch of lies and these toxic trends of people, getting influenced to take performance enhancing substances, especially from a young age. All these toxic trends in the fitness industry are going to continue to grow. So anyways, I felt like making this video. Very important point I've always tried to make when it comes to physical fitness.